This is for the kids that snort pixie sticks. And this is for the kids that starts fights for kicks. For the millions at home that feel all alone, that cut themselves till the knife hits a bone. I feel just like you. If you feel like me, then let me hear you scream out, Psych Ward family. A 3G system in 1G ride, bitch, hitting so hard, feel like worlds collide. Man, 10,000 Cadillacs said it, let me hear it. Bitch, we claiming Cleveland and we ain't prepared to share it. So pop in some wolf pack and put your dukes up, or do it like 3-6 and tear this club up. Bloodstains, cocaine, weed, greed, and power. Mushrooms got me here, be gone in an hour. I'm ready to trip and flip the script. Haters, stomach your pistol whip. Watch it, bitches run. Where you going, son? That door is locked and a gun is cocked. Hammer back and I'm ready to attack. And I watch you drop to the sounds of a pop, pop, pop. That's what you get when you're fucking with me. You ain't nothing but a bitch ass wanna be. You wanna run your mouth, man, shut the fuck up. Don't sing it, just bring it and I'll rough you up. Cause I don't need no hook. This beat's that tight, I'll just shut up and let the bass hit you like.
Money's Crazy Mind contains language that may not be suitable for all listeners. Discretion is advised, but will be completely
I'm sick of it, doing right, doing wrong. Parents pissed off every time I write a song. Smoke, crack, worship Satan, what the fuck is that? It's something funny, made for you to laugh at.
You're destroying America with your rap.
You're so full of shit, I need to call hazmat. The only way I would ever apologize
I gotta go
if
on
I
record
had
with
my
this,
face
right?
buried
I
in your
really
sister's
do.
thighs.
Never in 39 years have I ever seen anything like
Okay, I'm sorry
It
for what
shows
it's worth,
the
but the best
fanaticism
part of you was the
of this fan
afterbirth.
base, and
If you
it's
can't
crazy.
take a fucking joke, then go jump in the river. Na 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 na
Into the
na
return
na
of
na
sin.
na, and I fucked your
To the point
sister.
where you
You
overshadow
can't
the
take a fucking joke, then go jump in
of
the
Randy Orton.
river. La 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 la
That it was
la
kind
la
of,
la,
for me,
and I fucked your sister.
if you want to continue to put this narrative out there that Cody finishing the story
What the
fuck, dude?
is this big daunting
What the fuck
task,
is this? Hey,
and
this
Cody
fucking
has
shit.
all these
Run
mountains
your
to
mouth.
climb and
This
all
is
these
what you're
brass
gonna
rings
get.
to pull
Screwdriver
back.
jam in your
And of course, we
fucking
gotta
eye.
thank our
So
official
long.
music
Thanks
sponsor,
for coming
Psych
by.
Ward,
Tell your
for the
sister
continued use
I'll be over by
of
10 with my dick in
funny
the mouth and my balls on her chin. She's bobbing her head to this fucking beat. Damn, dog, man, your sister's a freak. Hey, baby, you like the Eagles? Wanna hear something?
Okay, here we go. We are back. Just like I promised, 2 weeks, and it is going to be a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen, or at least I hope it's going to be a barn burner, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really confident about this episode. I think you guys are going to love this episode. But on top of that, On top of that, for the first time in maybe about a year or so, maybe even longer than that, we're fucking live, man. Now, I do want to say this. Facebook, okay? And here's why I say that, okay? I'm at 97 followers on the Money's Crazy Mind page, and I know for a lot of podcasters out there, and maybe some people that are doing this a little bit differently than the way I do it and everything like that, that's peanuts. But very recently, actually June 10th, Facebook put out a new rule that the only way you can go on Facebook Live on your page is if you have 100 or more followers. So for the first time, this show is not live on Facebook. Okay? Even when I do my pre-recorded videos, I still put it out as a live premiere on Facebook and YouTube. And now for the first time since I've gone to the format of video, since I've been doing the video format for the better part of 3 or 4 years, this show is not live on Facebook. And to say that I'm pissed is an understatement. Okay? That's it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm pissed. But welcome into the asylum, ladies and gentlemen. We are back yet again. Yes. Now, there's a few reasons why we're live, okay? Reason number one, I was at the Kezi Production Studios today, helping get everything ready for the Women's Health Summit tomorrow, 1 p.m. And this discussion, in my opinion, because I got to hear everything that they're going to be talking about and stuff like that. This discussion, in my opinion, is one of the most important discussions that Jessica Steffes has done. And her guests, Precious and Paul, they add some brilliant insight into the topic that they are going to be talking about. And that is the importance of sleep and rest, and the difference between the two. Now, as you can see, I am using the what I like to call wrestling commentator headset, and that's just because I just want to be really animated for this episode, and I want to be able to hit my talking points when we get into our main topic of discussion, cyber threats. We're going to talk about the 15 most common threats that are happening to people with one of these right now. And this list was updated at the beginning of the month. So when I say most recent, I mean most recent. Okay? So, let's thank some sponsors, shall we? First up, always Nameless Faceless Productions. Without Nameless Faceless Productions, this show would not be happening right now. I am doing everything I can to make sure that Nameless Faceless Productions stays up to date with everything that we are trying to do. I did say that there's going to be even more improvements and more things coming to the show, and that's not a lie. It's just getting everything situated and motivated and getting everything to fall into place the way I need it to make those things happen. Is taking a little bit longer than I thought, but it's a grind running your own stuff, man, and I don't fault anybody for trying to do it, okay? Next up, Growing Wings Adult Services. Just a fun, great environment helping adults with disabilities in northeastern Ohio. Lisa and the team down there at Growing Wings, they love what they do. They're passionate about what they do. And they would like to have anybody that's as passionate and love doing what they do as much as they do join their team. You can reach out to Lisa Summers today on how you can join the Growing Wings Adult Services family. There we go. Kezi Productions, our broadcast partners. I'm proud to be partnered up with them. I'm helping them grow and build into what their vision of what Kezi Productions is, and even more improvements coming their way, and you will see those improvements tomorrow during the Women's Health Summit. And of course, our official music sponsor, Psych Ward. Of course, you hear bass track at the beginning of every episode for our countdown. Funny Bone, the official theme song of Money's Crazy Mind. Thank you to the guys in Psych Ward for continuing to allow me to use their music every time we go live here with Money's Crazy Mind. And a huge shout out to my boys in Big Ugly for Come Home and our break music this week. All right. So what are we talking about this week? Well, obviously you see the main topic is going to be the most recent cyber threats that people are getting on their mobile devices. I work in a mobile tech support call center, and I got to tell you, I get at least 4 or 5 calls every day. And it can be younger people. It can be senior citizens. It can be people my age, middle-aged people. Every day I get at least 4 or 5 calls. I think my phone was hacked. So by going over these 15 most common threats, hopefully I can help relieve one person and help them not fall for one of these "I think my phone got hacked" scams. And we're going to talk about some of the most common scams that maybe are not on here because they are not related to a phone per se. And then that will even help alleviate some of that as well. But before we get into that, that is going to be our main topic for the show. So that is going to be in our numero dos. We'll be talking about those cyber threats. So what are we going to talk about in this first hour here? Well, if you guys saw the reel I put out yesterday, the story I put out yesterday, the post I put out yesterday on the Money's Crazy Mind and Kezi Production pages, then you will know that this past weekend I went and got to see, probably in my opinion, one of the best musicals that has been released in the last 10 to 15 years, Back to the Future. So we're going to talk all about that play and how good it was, the production value, everything. We're going to break it down. And hopefully, if it's coming to a city near you, you guys get out and get to see it. If you're in my area, the Northeast Ohio area, it is running at the State Theater until July 7th. So you've got 2 weeks left. And we'll even tell you about some special things that I discovered about this Back to the Future play while we were at intermission between Acts 1 and 2. But before we get to that, you know, sometimes I think Gen Z, I just don't know what the hell these people are thinking. I really don't, man. Like, my generation, the generation that grew up in the mid to late 80s and the 90s and became adults in the early 2000s, we learned that if you were a rapper, the one person you didn't mess with and the one person that you attempted to never piss off was Marshall Mathers. And for those of you that may not know who Marshall Mathers is, Eminem. You know, because I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady. All you other Slim Shadys are just imitating. That guy. And here's how we figured this out, right? So, our first taste of Eminem was the song My Name Is. And if you think about a lot of the things that he said in that song, I just drank a fifth of vodka, dare me to drive. All my life I was very deprived. You know, I ain't had a woman in years. My palms are too hairy to hide. You know, clothes rip like the Incredible Hulk. I spit when I talk. I'll fuck anything that walks. Like, that guy, okay? And we're just like, okay, so this guy just likes rapping about funny shit. Because, like, the Slim Shady LP, although there is some serious stuff on there, was still a very comical album. And, I mean, on that album, okay, like, let's just focus on the Slim Shady LP for just 1 second here, right? On that album, the very last song on that album is a song called I Just Don't Give a Fuck. Okay? And then he follows that up with the Marshall Mathers LP. On this album are probably two of his most violent songs ever. Kill You and Kim. And when we're listening to this, we're just like, this is the guy that did the album before that we were all laughing at funny stuff at. This is now the guy saying, you don't want to fuck with Shady, because Shady will fucking kill you. You know, I mean, he opens that song with, they said I can't rap about being broke no more. They didn't say I can't rap about coke no more. Slut, you think I won't choke no whore until the vocal cords don't work in her throat no more? You know, I mean, that guy, right? Like, so people my age and maybe even a little bit younger than us, right? The people that, you know, were maybe being raised on like Eminem and Dr. Dre and all those guys. Like, we know that the one guy you don't fuck with is Slim Shady, right? And we know this because we know what M is capable of rapping. So, and Gen Z tried this before when his last album came out, right? They're just like, oh my God, his lyrics are just so violent and so vulgar. And he's talking about setting a house on fire. And we're like, yeah, that song's like 20 years old. Like, where the fuck you been? You know, but now they're trying to get him canceled again because of things that he said in his new single, Houdini. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, you clearly did not listen to that song. You did not listen to the words of that song. Because even in that song, he's sitting there and he's saying, good luck trying to cancel me. Good luck getting me, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady, Eminem, one of the most offensive guys on the planet, to stop being who I am. You tried to cancel culture Eminem once, and you failed. And now you're trying to do it again on the album that, for all intents and purposes, just from everything that we know about the album when it comes out later this summer, is more than likely going to be his final album. The name of the album is the key takeaway, or the key giveaway to this, right? Because he's calling the album The Death of Slim Shady. So either this is that's it, no more Eminem period after this, or it just means that character, the character of Slim Shady that he invented, is done. You know, and we'll have to wait for the rest of the album to come out because there's only been 2 songs that have been released so far, to my knowledge, and that's Houdini and The Death of Slim Shady. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. But it's looking pretty good that this might be the end altogether of Eminem. Which sucks because, you know, I mean, Eminem has I switched back to this because it looks like the live video playing in the background of the other shot is screwing with the live feed. I forgot about that. Like I said, I haven't gone live in a long time, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of looking like this is the swan song for Eminem. So, um, it sucks, but there's not really much we can do about it, right? It's Shady's decision whether or not he wants to stop doing what he's doing, and it looks like he's making that decision. So, but it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the album is going to be like once it comes out later this summer. I'm definitely interested to hear it. So it'll be kind of cool to see what Eminem comes up with for his potential swan song. I'm just working on some stuff in the background here, because I do kind of like that other shot, and it's the whole reason why I have it. And it kind of stinks that I can't do it the way I want to do it, but that's the beauty of doing this live for the first time in a few years. There we go. We'll just do that since we're going to be talking about Back to the Future here in just a few moments. But yeah, Gen Z, learn your lesson, right? Like, Eminem is not the guy that you want to try to mess with. Because, I mean, let's think about people that have tried messing with Eminem in the past, right? So, Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly started by sitting there saying, dude, your daughter's hot, right? And she was under 18 at the time that he said that. So, kind of scumbaggy on MGK's part, right? And then he followed it up with, you're not that special of a rapper. You're not. Like, and what happened to Machine Gun Kelly after that? Dude kind of fell off the face of the earth, went fucking crazy, started dating Megan Fox, went even crazier, and went from being Machine Gun Kelly. Well, I mean, still, Kelly is a girl's name, but he went from being Machine Gun Kelly to Machine Gun Katie, right? I mean, because the dude looks not like he used to when he first hit the scene. And I'm from Cleveland, so I've known about MGK for a lot longer than a lot of people have, because MGK was releasing underground music here before he signed with Bad Boy. But I mean, I guess that's what happens when you sign with Diddy. So I mean, people have gone after him in the past. Let's take a look at the list of people that have gone after Eminem in the past, okay? Not the MPAA, the Recording Association of America. They tried going after him, saying that his lyrics were not favorable to normal audiences. Eminem's still around. Dick Cheney's wife and Tipper Gore, because they're the ones that are the reason that the little parental advisory stickers are now on the albums, right? Eminem still says whatever the fuck he wants. The FBI has tried going after Eminem. The federal government has tried going after Eminem. The list of people that have tried going after Eminem is endless. There's a reason why he writes some of the songs that he writes. I mean, let's look at the Marshall Mathers LP one more time, right? On one of the songs, he talks about the fact that they tried blaming Columbine on, that the violent music is part of the reason why something like Columbine happened. They didn't necessarily blame Columbine on him, but because there's the lyric in What I Am, I can't remember the lyrics off the top of my head. But they blame it on Maryland and the heroin, but where were the parents at? And look where it's at. Middle America, now it's a tragedy. Now it's so sad to see an upper class city having this happen, then attack Eminem because I rap this way. But I'm glad, because that gives me the fuel that I need for the fire to burn, and this I have returned, and I am whatever you say I am. And I'm sure I'm probably butchered that a little bit, but I don't care. I'm not Eminem. It's not my song, right? But I mean, that's the kind of thing that he does. And then even like a song like Sing from the Moment, kids picking up a rap magazine and being idolized by those figures that they see in those magazines, so that those aren't necessarily the people that you want to have as your idols. And this is what he's trying to say. He's just like, but we're a release. People that make music like me are a release. The reason we do the violent music, the reason why we say the things that we say is because this is our way of saying what we need to say to get the crazy fucked up thoughts that are in our head out. It's our way of making it better. And for a generation where we were coming off a generation where there was a big revelation on a lot of different things, and in a generation where television was becoming much more adult and much more desensitized to a lot of things. I mean, you had shows like Melrose Place, Beverly Hills 90210, NYPD Blue, Dawson's Creek. A lot of those NYPD Blue wasn't, but a lot of those teenage-based shows that were highly sexualized, like Dawson's, like 90210, and things like that. That was the 90s. That was the generation where we were teenagers. That was our exposure at that time. Shows like South Park, Family Guy, shows like that were getting started too. You know, and I think that is the big major disconnect, right? Like, sorry, Gen Z and Gen Alpha, but Eminem's not making music for you. Eminem is making music for people my age and older, right? That's ours. You have your own garbage music. Let us listen to our garbage music, okay? You know? Like, Eminem was the CD that parents were taking away from us. Like, you ain't listening to that shit. You know? Like, that is what Eminem meant to my generation, okay? It was a lot like, oh, we got to block Comedy Central from the television because they're gonna watch South Park. It's also, you know, we don't want cable in the kids' rooms because they're gonna watch Beavis and Butthead. That was my generation. And take a look at what's happening now, right? So a lot of things from my generation are coming back and becoming cool again, right? I mean, Beavis and Butthead is coming back for another season, and it looks like this time it's not going to be on Paramount Plus. It looks like this time it's going to be on Comedy Central. And I have a feeling we're probably going to get an hour block, right? Beavis and Butthead followed by South Park, because why not put those two shows together? That's just, you got us for an hour. Okay? That is my generation. It's not yours. It's mine. Eminem ain't making music for you. So if you don't like, okay, and here's a little piece of advice from somebody who's kind of stuck in between Gen X and millennials, right? Like I'm at that point. I'm like right there between both of them. Do you know how our generation handled things that we didn't like and that we thought was offensive, or that we just thought, not for me? We turned it off. We didn't listen to it. We didn't watch it. You know, hey, cool. You know, if you want to watch that, go right ahead. It ain't for me. You know, I'm good, right? And much like I said when I did my Juggalo episode all those months back, right? I didn't fall into that category until I got much older in my life, where a lot of my friends and a lot of other people that I went to school with had been listening to ICP and all those bands for years. I got into it when I was turning 16, 17, 18. So by the time the sixth Joker's card was getting ready to drop is when I got into those guys, right? And what happened was I finally started becoming my own person. I wasn't letting, yes, in that sense, I was a little bit of a late bloomer, but I finally realized who I was. And who I was that I didn't fit in anywhere, right? Because I liked Eminem, but I also liked Metallica, and I liked Korn, and I liked Disturbed, and I liked the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks as they want to be called now. And I liked Garth Brooks, and I liked Broadway musicals, and I liked classical music, and I didn't fit in with any one thing, right? Because I liked everything. But I will tell you this, I mean, a lot of those shows like 90210, Melrose Places, Dawson's Creek, all that shit, I never got into any of that crap. You know why? Because yes, at heart, I am a very big nerd, right? And I have a DeLorean behind me. But there was not one, but two Star Trek shows on the air during that time. DS9 and Voyager. And then after those two ended, Enterprise started. So I'm just like, I got Star Trek. You all can watch that stuff, right? But I mean, I did watch stuff like the PJs, and obviously I watched WWE, I watched WCW. Whenever it worked, I would watch ECW when it was still on the air and all that stuff. So I mean, like that was me. That was who I was. But I mean, face it, right? I mean, if there's a movie or a television show or a song or an album or whatever that somebody doesn't like, if you don't listen to it, it goes away. They don't play it on the radio constantly. They don't show it on TV. It gets canceled. It might take a little bit of time, but eventually it does. If you want to expose people for being horrible human beings, then continue exposing people like Harvey Weinstein, like Joss Whedon, like those people. But Eminem, who just makes stupid songs for comedic purposes, who's Slim Shady hurting? Damn. Hang on a second. This is going to look fucked up because I don't have one of my non-burnt variant ones near me, but show me on the mini puff where Eminem hurt you, man. Like, seriously. Show me on the mini puff where Eminem hurt you, Gen Z. I'll wait. You can't, can ya? That's my point. But let's move on. Let's talk about some fun stuff, huh? Let's talk about... this is the first time I've been to the theater in a while. And this is one that I've been waiting for since pre-COVID. Back at the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future, they released a trilogy box set. And one of the special features on that box set was a look at the early preview releases of Back to the Future, the musical. You know, they kind of showed some of the cast. They talked about how it came to be. And, you know, there was a lot of, like, Back to the Future fans just kind of going, waiting for it, right? And originally, it was supposed to hit Broadway in 2020, but obviously nothing hit Broadway in 2020 because the world shut down. So this musical has been a few years in the making. And the fact that it finally rolled through Cleveland and I got a chance to see it, but not only did I get a chance to see it, but I got to make my mom's birthday that much more special by treating her to something like this, especially with everything that she's going through health wise, battling cancer. It made it that much more cool because not only was it special for me because I'm a huge Back to the Future nerd and a huge Back to the Future fan, but I got to see that my mom was actually enjoying it too. And my wife. I can't forget that she was there either. But, I'd originally bought the tickets for my mom for her birthday. And obviously I wanted to go because it's Back to the Future and I'm a nerd. But let's talk about probably one of the coolest things to hit theater in a while. Back to the Future, the musical. So, back on that 35th anniversary box set that came out, talking about the release of Back to the Future, the musical, there was the, what's up, Andre? There was a feature where it kind of showed some of the behind the scenes stuff, and we got to see that they actually were going to have a full size working DeLorean on the stage for the scenes that involved the DeLorean, and that they did everything they could to make the actor playing Doc look like Doc, look like Christopher Lloyd, the actor playing Marty look like Marty, Michael J. Fox, the woman playing Lorraine look a little bit like Leah Thompson, the guy that was going to play his father George, so on and so forth. For me, number one, the best thing about this musical is, and I gave this musical 5 out of 5, right? And we'll even talk about some of the things that it probably shouldn't have gotten 5 stars for, but just the way that they made up for it, 5 out of 5, right? But the first thing that made this musical so fun and so cool and just so excellent was the fact that it was written by Bob Gale. Bob Gale was the writer of all 3 Back to the Future movies. It was executive produced by Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis was the director of all 3 Back to the Future films. All of the songs and everything were written by I want to say his name is Andrew, but I don't think it is. I had his name in my head before I went live, and now it's gone. So let me look this up real quick. Alan Silvestri. Oh wow, comments are starting to roll in a little bit here, so let's bring these up. Those are some of my favorite movies, so much so that my family nickname was McFly. Let's see. I miss working with you, and that's my favorite movie. Yeah, I miss working with you guys too. I really wish I can make it back out there and everything, but it's a hike for me, guys. Like it takes me about an hour to get out there, and it just it didn't it wasn't really financially it wasn't beneficial for me to drive all the way out there from where I'm at and everything like that. And my car broke, and then my wife's car was starting to break down, and I just needed something a little bit closer to home to where my wife and I were still able to have our cars and everything like that. But so back to the discussion. Back to the discussion. So the musical was written by the same people that made the movies. And that was thing number one that made this so just sign me up, take my money. And the second this play got announced for Cleveland, the second Playoff Square announced Back to the Future is coming, tickets go on sale on this day, I said, timer, alarm, everything. I'm buying tickets the second they drop. And I called my mom and I said, hey, it's not Wicked, right? It's not Phantom of the Opera. It's not Les Miserables. It's not any of these like more traditional musicals, which Wicked really isn't that much of a traditional musical. Wicked is a lot of fun live. Let me just put it out. Let me put it out there. I loved seeing Wicked. I loved seeing Phantom too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, Back to the Future is coming, and this musical is winning awards left and right. It's being announced as the best musical of the year. This, that, and a third. Is this something you'd want to go to? Because if not, I'm going. And let's just throw that out there, Mom. Like, if you say you don't want to go because it ain't your thing, I'm going. And she's like, yeah, no, let's go. And I said, okay, 3 tickets, cha-ching, $400, poof. But we get there, and we're greeted by this big giant screen that has, the Back to the Future, the musical logo on it. And it says, flash photography, videography during the play is not allowed, but take pictures of all the stuff that we're showing you here before the play starts. Hashtag Back to the Future on it. And, this, that, and a third. So, like, I'm bringing my podcast back. That's awesome, Andre. Always do whatever you can to keep that show running. I know you loved doing it. I loved doing it with you, and I'm glad to hear that you're bringing it back. So that was a lot of fun. And the show starts, it obviously opens with a musical number, because what musical doesn't open with a musical number? Where they're kind of setting up the fact that Marty is going to audition for, it's not a school dance in the musical, it's the Founders Day celebration. It's like the Hill Valley home days, to put it kind of like that. There were differences from the film to the musical, and I think that a lot of people that are just like, oh, you call it Back to the Future, but it's not a page for page, word for word dictation of what the film is on a stage. No. Here's why it works. There are things that you can do on film that you can't do on stage. It's just not possible. Right? Having Doc get shot up by a group of Libyans isn't going to be able to be possible on stage. So what did they do? They borrowed, and this is why I say it's so cool that Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, the two Bobs, as we like to call them in Back to the Future fandom, were working on this. Because they were actually able to sit there and go, okay, so we had about 9 different ways that we were going to try to get Marty to go back to 1955, so let's go back through some of the ones that didn't work. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. Oh, this will work. Doc gets radiation poisoning. And Marty is using the DeLorean to try to get to the hospital to try to help Doc. That's one thing that was different. It works on a stage setting because now you can sit there and have a comedic moment with Doc's radiation suit getting ripped. And that's how he got radiation poisoning. And then you still have your way of Marty taking the DeLorean to instead of him driving away from Libyans and saying, let's see if these bastards can do 90, I got to get to the hospital so I can get somebody to come help Doc. Let's kick this, blankety blank into third gear and go 90. And and even though you have Doc screaming, don't go 88, because we just saw the demonstration where Doc came back from the past, right? So like there were still a lot of great moments from the movie in this play, but they changed certain things to make it work in a musical setting. But everything that they changed was taken from one iteration of the Back to the Future script or another. Things that were changed either because it just it didn't work for the film, or just a better idea came to them. Doc has to get the plutonium to make this sucker nuclear somehow, right? I stole it from a group of Libyans. It worked. And I mean, that line is in the play. It's just the Libyans didn't show up to shoot Doc, and that was the one minor thing that they changed in that part of it. A couple other things that they changed were obviously they had to have more dialogue between the family at home when they're sitting around the dinner table, right? They got rid of the, Uncle Jailbird Joey stuff, and they focused a lot on the relationship between George and Lorraine the way it was before Marty goes back to 1955. One thing that I do kind of want to bring up, and I'm going to bring this picture back up here just for a second, because this is actually a still that a reviewer took from the play. This is a still shot of the DeLorean traveling back to 1955 from Act 1 of the musical. Right after this moment happened, so a message pops up on, because they had a big giant LED screen. They had like a curtain that they can bring down in the front to put stuff up on like a screen that's before. They actually did have a very deep stage. Like, I was shocked. They used like every inch of this stage, right? And they did actually have live backdrops. Like the McFly kitchen was a live backdrop. Doc's laboratory was a live background. They had the school cafeteria was a live background, and then they had like a hallway in the school that was a backdrop, a live backdrop, and they had other live backdrops and things like that. But they used the LED screens, but they used them in a way that I thought was pretty friggin' innovative. And obviously, if you're gonna have a live full-size DeLorean on screen, you need to make it look like that car is moving, especially at 88 miles an hour, right? And they use the LED screen for that. As you can see, like all that blur. I'm going above my camera reach here. All that blur behind the DeLorean is just that LED screen making the effect that car is just flying down the road, right? Right after that moment happened, they bring a message up on the screen that says, "We're resetting the time circuit so that we don't create a paradox. Please bear with us," right? So we're all just kind of sitting there going, is this part of the show, or are we just gonna sit here? Like, what are we doing, right? About 10 minutes later, a new message popped up. "We're about to come back. We'll come back to your applause." Okay, yay. So they come back, and Marty's in 1955, right? The first part of the show where they're in 1985, the music has a lot of 80s feel, and "The Power of Love," the Huey Lewis and the News song from the film, is in the play. So you hear Marty auditioning, and he's doing their version of "The Power of Love," and it wasn't Huey Lewis, obviously, this time, that tells him that, "I'm afraid you're just too darn loud." They changed that up a little bit. Like I said, the changes that they made weren't enough to sit there and be like, no, that sucked compared to what you did in the movie, because the changes made sense. And I think that's the point that I'm just trying to drive home. Like, the changes that they made sense to make it work for the stage. And that's the big part of it, is that it needed to work for the stage. But everything that they changed was taken from a Back to the Future script at some point or another. So, like right before they go into like the whole family dinner where they're sitting around, in the movie, a part of this scene still exists, but it does exist as a deleted scene on the DVDs, the Blu-rays, the 4Ks. There is a scene right after Biff trashes the car that they shot. It was shot completely, and it was shot with Michael J. Fox. This isn't like one of the Lost Eric Stoltz scenes. This was with Michael J. Fox and Crispin Glover and Tom Wilson. Somebody comes knocking on the door. Hey, McFly, my kid's selling peanut brittle. I put you down for 3 cases. And then the very next thing you see is George McFly pouring the peanut brittle into a bowl, and he's trying to hand some to Marty and everything like that. So they did something very similar to that, because instead of Biff trashing the car because he's drunk and driving, he's in the house and he's selling George 5 cases of peanut brittle, and he's just going to take it out of his paycheck. And then, do you have my reports done? A lot of that same scene was still there. But again, the peanut brittle bit that they use in the play is a deleted scene from the movie. So that's what I'm saying. Like the little subtle changes that were made didn't take away from the experience. And even my mom is just like, it was still Back to the Future. Like, it was still the story that we remember and that we love. Okay? So after the DeLorean breaks down and they cut to the quick break, and then they come back, and we come back, and Marty's in 1955. Like, a lot of that stuff is still there. And then they cut to intermission. And when you cut to intermission, obviously you only get like 15 or 20 minutes. That's a standard intermission for any play. The whole play in its entirety is 2 hours and 40 minutes with a 15. I think ours was a little bit longer, only because of the pause that we had for the DeLorean breaking down. So I think ours was like 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. But not only that, but there was a huge long line for the bathroom, and they were trying to make sure that everybody got a chance to hit the bathroom, right? Okay, so let me just stop right there for 1 second. Playhouse Square. If anybody from Playhouse Square is watching this broadcast, you need to widen the hallways. Even skinny people were having to, like, thin as a rail, push up against the wall for people to try to get up and down the steps at the same time. So I ain't just saying that because I'm a big dude. I saw skinny people have to move out of the way for people to try to get up the stairs while people are trying to get down the stairs to get to the bathroom. So can we work on that in the future, please? Thanks. But during the intermission, I was waiting for my wife to get out of the bathroom, and the house manager happened to come out of his office and was just kind of standing around talking to people, like not people that worked there, but like patrons, like people that were there to see the show. So I waited for him to finish the conversation that he was having with somebody, and I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, just a real quick question, because I'm loving the play. Like, don't get me wrong. I think the play is fantastic, but I just have to ask. That pause in the middle of the first act, was that supposed to happen? Like, is that something that they do at every show?" And he goes, "No. Diva broke down." Who's Diva? Diva is what the cast call the car. I guess even in the previews that they did in New York before taking the show on the road, and at every show, at every stop that the play is done, the car has broken down and needs to get fixed in the middle of a production. So the cast and the crew have taken, if you don't know a lot about stage performing, theater performing, somebody, be it a crew member, be it a cast member, always ends up being the diva. If you remember the television show Glee, this would be like the Rachel Berry of the production, okay? Has to be the star, has to have all the attention on them, right? That's the car in this case. The DeLorean is constantly breaking down, but it doesn't always break down at the same spot, right? So for us, it was right after, and Marty goes back to 1955. I guess in another production, the night before, actually, the house manager was telling me, it broke down near the end, and near the end, the car flies. I would not have wanted to been the Marty and Doc actors at that moment, because yeah, we're 5 feet off the fucking ground, and Diva decided she wants to brake. Get me out of this car. Like, that would have been my reaction, okay? So that was kind of neat to know that was not, that wasn't part of the show. It was something unique. So the time it happened was unique to our showing, but that actually was a, hey, we fucked up and we gotta fix it moment. And it's kind of nuts, okay? I just remembered something. So the first time I ever saw Metallica live, it was during the Death Magnetic Tour, the World Magnetic Tour. And they're on stage, and they're doing The Day That Never Comes. So James finishes, I want to say it's maybe the first run of the chorus. And all of a sudden he's just like, hey, can you hear us out there? And me all the way up in the nosebleeds where I can hit my head on the ceiling of the queue if I try to headbang. I'm just like, yeah, man, like, but I'm also 900 feet off the ground. So I don't know, maybe the people on the floor or that, spent more than $60 on their tickets can hear you. I don't know. Not complaining, just setting the scene, okay? I was there. That's what was important. And I was there with somebody that I cared very much about at the time. And it's still one of my greatest moments. First time I ever got to see Metallica live. It's a very wonderful memory. I'm just making light of the fact that we had, nosebleed seats. And making a bit out of it, okay? Like, I'm very appreciative that I was there. So then all of a sudden, like, they stop playing. And James is like, so you guys can hear us over here, but you can't hear us over here, that kind of thing. And, you can tell that he's getting frustrated, but he's like, you guys got to tell us this or we're just going to keep going all night, right? And now I know he's mad because he's slamming mic stands and stuff on the stage. He's like, are we going to fix it or am I just going to stand here and look like a freaking moron? So they had actually somebody that had to go up into the roof of the queue, like where like the giant curved screens and the speakers and everything are that are built in the house sound system for the Cavs. They had to go up there and fix something. And they kept playing. They finished the song out. And I want to say maybe like one or two songs later, like during Master of Puppets, all of a sudden it got like twice as loud. And I'm just like, oh, I guess the sound wasn't working. So I kind of just like, I just find it funny. Because my first time ever seeing Metallica, that happened. My chance to see Back to the Future, the musical, the DeLorean breaks down. But Act 2, no flaws, no technical difficulties, no nothing. Just a great fun show. And I love the fact that they, just like they were in the film, they were very cognizant of the fact that music in 1985 sounds very different than music in 1955, much like music now in 2024 sounds way different than music sounded in 1985. So the songs that they sang, like the original music for the musical, the songs from the 80s sounded like they belonged in 1985. the songs that they sang once Marty went back in time sounded like they belonged in 1955 America. There's even a song where they make fun of a lot of that, right? And it's the very first song that they sing when Marty goes back in time. So I love the fact that Alan Silvestri and the person that wrote all the lyrics, for the songs, were very cognizant of that fact. Like, this is something that they were very, very proud of that they did in the film. Let's be very, very proud that we can do that in the musical as well. And then, they do set it up to where, like, if this show, and obviously the show's been successful everywhere it's gone, or else it wouldn't be on tour. Like, let's just be honest with that. If this show was not successful on Broadway or in London, which is where it started before COVID, it would not be on tour right now. But I think if this show remains successful and continues to just write checks everywhere it goes, or make bank everywhere it goes, I should say, there is a very good possibility we will see Back to the Future 2 and possibly Back to the Future 3 turned into musicals as well. However, I do want to say this. They don't need to. This was perfect the way it was. And obviously, we see the flying DeLorean at the end, because I mentioned it already. And I'm not spoiling anything. The musical is phenomenal, with the flaws that the DeLorean has, because, like I said, she's the diva for this production. It's still fun. It's still a very fun show. And the other best part about it is that Bob Gale is so proud of this thing. He is staying in Cleveland for its entire run. He goes to every performance, doing everything that he can to make sure that what happened the night before that went wrong doesn't happen on the next production. And that is information I got from the house manager as well. He's like, it's so cool that Bob Gale is here too. I'm sorry, what? I'm about to have a nerdgasm. Bob Gale is here? And he's just like, oh, you know Bob Gale? I'm like, yeah. I know everything about Back to the Future, dude. Like, and for me, like, the second he said that the DeLorean was the diva of the broadcast, I start laughing. And I'm just like, oh, really? So the car breaks down in the play just like it broke down on them when they were making the movies. And he goes, yeah, you're a Back to the Future nerd. Okay, I give up, right? And I'm just like, it's kind of funny because the same thing happened on Ghostbusters. Ecto 1 constantly broke down on him too, which is why you don't see very many shots with the fucking car in those movies, at least in 1 and 2. But we are a little bit over the 1 hour mark here. We are going to cut to break, and when we come back, how protected are you and your family from the most recent cyber scams and cyber threats that contact these things on a daily basis? That's when we come back here on Money's Crazy Mind. Here's my guys in Big Ugly with their song, 4 Walls and an Empty Bed.
Give it back if I wake tomorrow. Another day out Oh wow, that sounds really great. Wow, that sounds like a really good deal.
Who are you talking to?
The Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters.
Hello, Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters. What are you wearing?
Khakis?
Well, that sounds hideous.
Well, they're Ghostbusters.
All right. All right, here we go. Getting back into it here, everybody. Apparently, Come Home does come back into the asylum. I guess we're just not going to have Come Home. Oh, that's right. I muted it. There's the sign. It's my fault. Sorry, Big Ugly. Anyway, welcome back. Our number 2 of Money's Crazy Mind is kicking off right now. Welcome back into this first live edition of the show that we have done in over a year.
Awesome!
And okay. Maybe I should clear a couple of things up real quick before we get into our main topic of the show. Will you charge? Thank you. I like doing live shows. I appreciate live shows. As you can tell, I was able to communicate with Andre and Liz, two of the great people at Growing Wings, during the first part of the show when they were telling me about their love of Back to the Future and everything too. It's not that I don't like doing shows live. It's just that there's a lot of times where I'm doing something else on a Friday night, or I want I want to be able to try to spend some time with my wife, and my wife is actually out doing something tonight, so I said, fuck it, let's go live, right? First time in a long time. Gotta give the people what they want, and what the people want is Money's Crazy Mind, and they want it live. I don't know if anybody wants this show except me, but, it is what it is, right? But, so me doing the show pre-recorded and things like that, it doesn't mean that I don't want to do the shows live or anything like that. I mean, and there was a point where I would record the show earlier in the day. I'd set my laptop on the living room table, and I would just play the video live so that way I can interact with the comments. We do because we love you. Okay, well, thank you, Liz. That's amazing. I love you guys too, man. But I can do sweet shit like that. Like, see, like Liz commented, and I'm able to put this shit on the screen. Like, I mean, that's awesome, right? Like, I can't do that if I'm pre-recorded and I'm not doing it. And I do want to say something. Yes, I did have the call-in line for people to call in and make live comments on the show or leave voicemails, and I'll play the voicemails on the next episode and everything like that. Yes, I still have it. I know I haven't been putting the phone number up on the screen for a while. There's a reason for that. If you remember, a couple weeks ago, my soundboard decided it was done and didn't want to work no more. So when I got it working again, and this is the same board that I had back then, the phone wasn't working the way it was supposed to. So I'm just like, well, fudgesicles. So I am working on getting another board where the phone will connect differently than it connects to this one. So once I get that new board, we'll bring the Asylum hotline back. It's going to be the same phone number, going to be the same thing as always, powered by Spectrum Mobile. Thank you to my friends at Spectrum Mobile. They're not an official sponsor, so I'm not going to say anything else other than thank you for the phone line. And yes, I do pay for it. Pay for it every month, as a matter of fact. Just paid my Spectrum bill, actually. My Spectrum Mobile bill, I should say. Okay, that's enough talking about Spectrum, because I promised them I wouldn't. Nobody tell my boss. Anyway, but yeah, so the hotline will be coming back, and I don't. It's not that I don't want to do live shows every week. I wish I could do live shows every week. It's just a lot of things since leaving the radio station that I was at changed things. And I learned a different way of doing this show. And the way that I do this show now is more beneficial to everything else that I have going on outside of these four walls of the asylum. With that, it's been no secret to anybody who has been watching this show over the last few years that I have struggled quite a bit with mental health. If you remember a few years back, I even did an episode where I discussed when I almost died in an attempted suicide. And ever since then, it has been a constant battle. And while over the years I have been seeking help and I've been doing things to try to combat those feelings and things like that, they're there. They'll be there forever. Like, there's no escaping it, right? There's just controlling it. And through getting the correct help, not just therapy, not just having a psychiatrist, not just that, those things, but actually narrowing down other health issues that could be leading to it, I realized, and with the help of my medical professionals, we came to the realization that a lot of my stress and depression and anxiety and obviously anxiety and stress kind of go hand in hand, right? A lot of those things were causing the heart issues that I have now, which is another part of the reason why I can't travel to a place like Growing Wings and continue working with those great adults, because it's too much on my physical health right now as well. And so for the first time, we're working on trying to minimize my stress and minimize my anxiety and minimize my depression by finally, after years of fighting it because of fear and because of like an anxiety type reaction to medication, because of the risk of suicidal tendencies that unfortunately can go with some of these anti-anxiety and anti-depression medications. I said, you know what? We need to do something. I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm there. I'm finally having the other issues taken care of. And I'm like, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Let's give it a shot. Like what do I have to lose, right? So through figuring out the level of fucked up I am here, we were able to figure out which medication would best benefit me that way. And so I'm happy to announce that a lot of that stuff is starting to clear itself up because I'm finally taking the necessary steps that I need to be able to be healthy again. And a lot of that has just been getting over this shit up here. And thought patterns and just this notion that I don't need that. I don't need outside interference. I can take care of myself. Well, obviously keeling over and almost dying at my job a year ago about this time hasn't meant holy shit. Sorry, I need a minute. I didn't realize I didn't realize that I was nearing the 1 year mark of that. It's kind of scary, but I'm here. And that's the most important thing. I'm here. I'm better than I was then. And I've learned a lot since then. So I'm here. And that's a positive. And the fact that I'm still working on that, right? The fact that I'm still working on bettering myself and turning myself into the best version of me that I can be, that's a positive. That's a positive coming out of something that was very tragic. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, and that's one thing that I've always prided myself on with this show is that nothing is sacred. If it's bad, or if it's a negative going on with me, or if it's something that I think can help and benefit other people, I'm gonna talk about it. And me being honest about my suicide attempt, me being honest about my struggles with depression and anxiety, me being honest with the fact that I did almost have a heart attack last summer around this time. And the fact, everything that I've done since then to try to better myself. And am I anywhere near where I want to be? Hell no. I have a very long way to go and a very long road still to take. But I know I'm losing weight? Because I keep having to move these fucking things back where they need to be on my face. Mother Nature, if you could do me a favor and end this heat wave, or at least make it rain. Can we not be blurry? Thank you. For a significant amount of time, so that all of this nasty pollen and crap in the air can leave, so I can put my fucking contacts back in. I'd love it. Thank you. All right, rant done. Let's talk about something very important. We all know somebody that might need to know a little bit more about cyber scams or cyber threats that can attack you at any moment during the day on one of these. It can be by text message, it can be by pop-up, it can be by phone call, it can be literally anything. In the last 5 years, the scammers have gotten so much more sophisticated and have found new and more dangerous ways to gain victims, to the fact to where they don't even need to send an email. They don't need to send a text message. They don't need to blow your phone up with potential spam calls all day. And I do want to reiterate, or I don't want to reiterate, I want to make one thing very clear to people, and this is something that I deal with, like I said, on a daily basis at my job. Your cellular provider is doing everything that is humanly possible to try to stop the phone calls and the text messages from ever making it to your device. But because these scammers are getting more sophisticated and learning new ways almost daily on how to be able to attack your device, we're constantly fighting a losing battle. The best thing I can say, if it looks suspicious, or if you think that it could potentially be a scam, it is. But let's take a look at some of these scams. And this is the top 15 scams that are going on right now as of June 7th. So as of today, it is June 22nd. So that's just a couple of weeks ago. These were the top 15 scams that are happening right now. The first one is the FBI impersonator. Someone will call you pretending to be from the FBI. They might say that there's a warrant for your out for your arrest, or demand payment, or threaten serious consequences like legal proceedings, property forfeiture, or asset freezing if you don't pay up. The scammer may even spoof the phone number to make it look like it is coming from a real FBI phone number. These are all intimidation tactics to try to get you to panic and wire money. This is an attempt at a wire fraud, and the threat is fake, exploiting your fear of being in trouble with the government. So how do you avoid this? The FBI will never call to threaten to arrest or demand payment. They won't ask for wire transfers or gift cards. And they won't call you about problems with your social security number. Never give out your social security number or financial information over the phone. If you think that you have been contacted by the FBI, call their official phone number and confirm. If the call you got was a threat with a demand for money, it's a scam. So this is also done in other ways too. It could be debt collectors as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be the FBI. It could be sheriff's department, police department, city council. You know, any government agency can be used as a scam like this. And I like the fact that they did mention in this that they will spoof the number to make it look like it's coming from an official FBI office. Trust me, this is the number one reason why your cellular provider has a difficult time stopping these calls and texts from coming to your device, because they are using spoofing technology to make the calls look like they are coming from legitimate phone numbers. Why is that a problem? Okay, look, there's tons of websites and there's tons of apps and there's tons of things like that that exist because of things like this that happen, to where people can report the number as a potential scam number. Here's why that's damaging. Something like this. Somebody calls you pretending to be an FBI agent. They spoof an FBI phone number from one of their local branches. Somebody reports that phone number as being a scam phone number. Now, somebody that may actually need to legitimately receive a phone call, which, by the way, the FBI won't call you if they're looking for your ass. All right? They will just show up at the door. And you will see the vests that say FBI, like on Criminal Minds, right? They don't call you. But let's say for some reason, or maybe it's somebody's office number at the FBI and they need to try to call their wife, or they need to try to call home, or call a family member. Or maybe the FBI is making a phone call to a victim's family or something like that. That number gets reported as being part of a scam. Now people aren't going to answer that number. Here's another way to know that something like this is legitimate or not. 9 times out of 10, if it's a scam, they won't leave a voicemail. If they leave a voicemail, listen to the voicemail. If it sounds legitimate, call them. If it sounds like it could potentially be a scam, call anyway. Hi, this is so-and-so. Did somebody try getting a hold of me? But if somebody picks up that phone and it doesn't sound like a legitimate phone, or it doesn't sound like it's like a legitimate call, hang up. But the next one is cryptocurrency and QR code. This scam can take a variety of forms: government impersonator, romance scam, fake utility company, fake cable company, fake Verizon scam, AT&T, any of those things. Whatever their story, they will ask you for money. In the form of cryptocurrency, the scammer will stay on the phone with you as you go somewhere with a crypto ATM where you use cash or credit card to buy cryptocurrency. Then, the scammer will send you a QR code, which is a kind of barcode that works on your phone. The QR code they send you has their digital address embedded on it. When you scan the code, it sends your crypto to them and you lose your money. This is the only form of crypto scam. This is not the only form of crypto scam. There are dozens. So how can you avoid the crypto QR scam? Never send money to anyone you don't know or have met in person. Scammers like crypto because it's an instant transfer of funds. There are no way to get your money back. Always be wary when someone asks you for payment in cryptocurrency, and think twice before sending any kind of payment to anyone asking for money. So let's talk about a different version of this, okay? Like I said, these are the ones that I have that I looked up online. There are others that are similar that I know of. How many times have you seen a post on Facebook where somebody seems to be selling items at prices that are too good to be true, and they're coming from a friend of yours profile? My wife almost fell victim to this very thing. She knows how bad I want a PlayStation 5. She knows how bad I want a few other high-price electronic items, like a new laptop that's more powerful, that makes it easier for me to do this show, or even just a more powerful desktop computer that makes it a little bit easier for me to do this show. One of our friends, who had recently fallen under a bad way relationship-wise, had their profile hacked. And somebody had posted a post that says that they were selling things that they were getting rid of in the divorce. And PS5, MacBook, things like that were on there at unbelievable prices. And my wife is sending me these pictures, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think this is legit. But she was still trying to think, that this could be because we know the person and we know the person personally. And then they're just like, oh, send us money on Cash App. Well, when she gave my wife the Cash App address, I'm like, that's not our friend. And I'm just like, do you have her actual phone number? Which, unfortunately, my wife didn't. But one of my friends did. And I said, hey, get a hold of so-and-so. Ask them if this is a legitimate post. Ask them if this is their Cash App, and so on and so forth. Turns out, no. Her Facebook had gotten hacked, and she was actually working with Facebook to try to get back into it. But my wife actually did try sending this person payment over Cash App. And I said, you need to do 3 things right now. 1, unlink your bank from your Cash App right now. 2, block that person as a contact. And 3, change your fucking Cash App password. That's a scam. And she's like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, for one, the payment didn't go through and said, this sounds like it's a scam. That should be number 1. Cash App is actually doing a really good job at trying to keep these unsolicited accounts off of Cash App and to keep people safe. So kudos to Cash App for that. If Venmo could get on that game, and if Zelle could get on that game, life would be so much easier for so many other people. But so that's another version of that scam as well. The Facebook Marketplace scam, the eBay. Yes, eBay is great for legitimate marketers on there and everything like that, but it is a cesspool of scammers. Facebook Marketplace is slowly becoming that as well. Obviously, Craigslist has been that for decades. We don't even need to get into Craigslist. But if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Nobody that has a PS5 is going to sell it for $150. A MacBook, maybe, but this is actually another one that my wife actually did become a victim of and not even know that she became a victim of it until after it happened. So please, if you are in a caregiver job, listen to this one. This one is important. If you are a nanny or a caregiver, you may have your services listed on an online job site like care.com. While this is a great way to find work, it can also open you to scams. One scam is to send you an offer for employment. The employer sends you a check and asks you to send them some money to buy assistive care items needed for the job. However, much like a romance scam, the person you are talking to isn't really interested in you. After you've sent the money, the check will bounce and the employer will disappear. Not only do you not really have a job, you just sent money to a scammer and will not be reimbursed. So here's how my wife got scammed by this very scam. And like I said, they actually changed this up a little bit to where it wasn't worded exactly the way this is. So let me give you the other version of this, okay? So these people contacted my wife through care.com. They said, we love your experience. We love everything about you. We would love for you to come in and have a visit with our son. We would like to send you gas money and travel expenses for you to be able to come and meet our child so that you can see if this is going to be a good fit for you. They also asked if she charges more, per child because they had 3. And she said, yes, actually, I do. I charge, X amount of dollars extra for more than 1 kid, blah, 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 which is actually something that she's changed over the years. She doesn't do that anymore. She just has a flat rate now. But when she got contacted by this person, they said, okay, we have not moved to Ohio yet. So again, this is very much like the romance scam, okay? And we'll get into the romance scam a little bit here too, and a little bit later on, because I know a few people that have actually fallen victim to that. We haven't moved to Ohio yet, but we're going to be moving to Ohio very soon. We would like to give you a sign-on bonus that would also be travel expenses to come and meet our child, so that you can, see if you think this is a job that's going to be for you. Can we have your address so that we can send you a money order? They actually said money order, not check. So I'm just like, I don't know, something sounds kind of fishy about it, but I'm like, but they did say money order, and a money order is a money order. It's kind of hard to scam that. So she said, okay, here's my name, here's my address, and we're waiting. And about a week goes by, and I'm like, money orders are instant. Like, you can just call and say, here's my MoneyGram number. Like, you don't even have to go to those places anymore. You can just go to the website and send the money now. Like, you don't even need to physically walk into like a Walmart or, wherever that you can get a money order and buy a money order anymore. You can do it online. Anyway, so then finally, like, a week goes by. I get the mail, and there's a letter for her. And we open it up, and inside is a cashier's check, which is similar to a money order, but it's given out by a bank instead of it being like a MoneyGram or a Western Union or anything like that. And I'm like, well, it's a cashier's check, so I mean, it might be legit. I'm like, but do not deposit that in the bank until we call this bank and see if this is a legitimate check. So for me, like, me being who I am, and the fact that I have a degree in network security and network administration and things like that, I'm telling her, like, do not cash this until we can verify its identity, right? So, she's freaked out. She's like, what do we do? I don't think that I'm starting to think that this may not be legit and blah, blah, blah. But because the other people on the other end don't know if she's received the check yet, she still has all of their information. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, don't say anything just yet. Like, let's call the bank. So we call the bank that the cashier's check was issued through. And they say, well, I mean, we do cashier's checks. Like, that is a service that we offer. Let us have the check number. So we read the check number off, and they're like, yeah, that's fake. That's not a legitimate check of ours. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. That's all we needed to know. So I told her, I'm like, check's fake. Don't cash it. Don't respond to these people. Immediately notify CARE that this happened. So she does. And then the person tries reaching out to her before CARE has a chance to reach out to them to let them know, hey, we know you're a no good dirty scammer, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, hey, did you ever receive the check? And she's like, no, I've been waiting for a money order. Money orders are digital now. Where's the code number so that I can, redeem the money order? Like, she's playing like, oh no, we sent you a cashier's check instead because cashier's check is better and blah, 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 blah. But hey, we are going to need some of that money back. And I'm just like, stop right there. It is now officially a scam. Block them. You've reported them to care.com. That's all we need to do. So, like I said, even people that could potentially never think that they can be scammed. Let's move this along here a little bit because we're running out of time. Very similar to the FBI scam, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. You'll get a call purporting to be from an agent with the U.S. Customs. They say that illegal items that were shipped in your name were intercepted, and now there's a warrant for your arrest. They will ask for money in the form of wire transfers, crypto, gift cards to make the legal trouble you are supposedly in go away. Don't fall for it. You're not in trouble, and the whole thing is a scam. So obviously, the same thing, crypto, money order, anything like that. If they're asking for money, it's more than likely a scam. The can you hear me scam. This one is one that I think is probably going to be the hardest for people to wean themselves of. Because a lot of us, especially my age and older, are used to the fact of some people sitting there saying, hey, can you hear me? Because we used to talking on phones that had wires attached to them, and those wires could potentially go bad, and all you hear is on the other end of the phone. How the scam works. Pause before speaking if a caller starts by asking, can you hear me? Scammers are looking for a specific answer, and the answer is yes. By getting you to answer yes to that one question at the very beginning of a call, as opposed to somewhere in the middle of the conversation where dubbing would be more obvious, scammers can record your affirmative answer. They can use that recording to claim you agree to pay for other scam programs. Think about this. If you call in to tech support for a computer or a cell phone even, or anything, let's say you call your bank. Are you calling about the account number ending in 0608? Yes. Are you calling because you have this? Yes. Are you calling for cable TV repair? Yes. You answer yes on your phone to a lot of things. Even getting a prescription refilled. If you call in and don't do it through a text message or do it online or whatever, you're on the phone. Are you calling about your prescription for blah, blah, blah? Yes. Think about how many times when you make a phone call to an automated system, you say the word yes. But think about this. Let's say you're taking out a bank loan or something and you call in online, or you call in because they need your voice recorded saying, yes, I agree to the terms of this loan or whatever. They now have your actual voice recorded saying yes. Even if it looks like the call is from someone you know, rephrase your answer to I hear you just fine. Or I can hear you. Sounds good. Something other than the word yes. We're not going to get into IRS impersonators because it's obviously the same kind of basic scam as the customs and the FBI. Bank calls. The IRS will never call, but your bank might, which makes it harder to figure out if this is the real deal. Plus, it makes sense that your bank would need to confirm your identity to protect your account. If your bank calls and asks you to confirm if transactions are legitimate, feel free to give a yes or no, but don't give up any more information than that. Some scammers rattle off your credit card number and expiration date, then ask you to say your security code as confirmation. Others will claim they froze your credit card because you might be a fraud victim. then ask for your social security number. Think about this. If your bank calls and is trying to verify a transaction that you made, they will say, we have a transaction for you in the amount of blah, blah, blah at this location. Did you make that transaction? Yes or no? 99 times out of 100 after that, they'll say, okay, thank you. One ring. Ever rush to answer your phone only to realize the caller hung up after one ring? Don't let the curiosity get the best of you and call back. Even if the number looks familiar, robocalls can spoof local area codes or names of specific banks and other organizations. Calling back verifies your number belongs to a real person. Plus, shows you're the type of person who will return a call from an unknown caller. Now, you're at risk for scammers to call back another time. Even if a real person does answer, keep your wits about you. What they've done is reverse the trust principle. When they're calling you, you have that natural inclination not to trust. When you're calling them, you're taking action. You forget why you called in the first place, so you're more likely to fall for scam questions asking for information on or money. And that call could cost you, even if they don't ask for anything. You might be calling a 900 number, often a sex line, that could charge you $17 for that first minute and $9 more per minute after that. Let any unknown number go straight to voicemail. If it's important, the caller will leave a message. And don't call any unfamiliar numbers back. Unless the caller identifies himself, there's a lot that hackers can do with just your call number. Virtual kidnapping. So this kind of reiterated what I said earlier. If the call is legitimate or important, they'll leave a voicemail. If they don't leave a voicemail, it is more than likely a scam. But for the virtual kidnapping, and like I said, we got to move along here because we still got a lot to get to, and not a lot of time to do so. A call from a kidnapper who supposedly has a loved one is horrifying. But stay calm. It sounds heartless, but don't jump to give ransom. Even if you hear screams in the background, it could be a scammer preying on your fear. Even if you're first try to contact your loved ones, who hopefully will answer the phone. Be extra skeptical if the kidnapper tries to keep you on the line to make sure that you've got the cash. Rule of thumb with kidnapping is that they get off the phone as quickly as possible. Anyone who wants to stay on the phone with you through the process is not a kidnapper. They're a scammer. Reach out to your loved ones and anybody who might know where they are before panicking. And tell somebody that you got this call. That is the most important thing that they could have said about this. That person, if it's a legitimate kidnapper, is going to get off that call as quickly as possible because they know that every second that they are on that call, all the police have to do is show up at a Verizon or an AT&T call switch location or any cellular provider for that matter and say, I need the tracking information on that call. The longer they're on their call, the more tracking information that they have. The shorter amount of time that they're on a call, the most that they could probably get is what cell tower that call pinged from. And then they would just have a general area of however many miles that cell tower can provide a signal to. Think about that. Think about that before you give in to any kind of threat like that. So I think everybody knows about the Microsoft scam, the Norton scam, the Amazon scam, any of those. So we're going to skip over that one. The grandparent scam. Scammers sometimes target elderly people pretending to be a grandchild. On a crackly line, they'll say they're in trouble. Maybe they lost their wallet in a foreign country and need you to send money. Or they might even text it and say, hey, grandma, do this for me. And they'll do it because they're grandma and they love you. Lucky winner. Congrats, you just won $1 million. It sounds too good to be true. It probably is. That big cash prize or amazing vacation sounds too good or too tempting to ignore. But real contests only enter you if you ask. In a legitimate lottery or sweepstakes, you have to enter the contest somehow. If you ever win a prize that you didn't enter, especially one with a prize worth millions of dollars, you're being scammed. Income scam, it's similar to the You've Won scam. Pretty much, this is a pyramid scheme scam. It may be a bit more believable. This one contacts you about a foolproof way to make a whole bunch of money, offering fake coaching sessions, tutorials, and more. They'll usually use specific names and enormous amounts of money that you can make in a short amount of time, and they guarantee it. In particular, scams that say you can make a lot of money working from home have been pretty big, which of course makes sense with remote work becoming increasingly common. If you receive a phone call with an easy money at home offer, especially if they're telling you to send money, the FTC suggests looking up the organization followed by words like scam or complaint before pursuing any further. Chances are good you'll see it's a scam, or just hang up and ignore it. Like many other phone scams, scammers of this ilk can also reach you through email, social media, or even TV ads. Donation collection. When charities, political parties, and lobbyists request donations over the phone, some show healthy skepticism. Some will be legitimate, many will not. Risk being rude and say you will call back, or say, then send me something I want to read about it. If it is a cause you care about, do a little digging online to figure out if it's a real charity or the actual political party. Even legitimate charities might not live up to their good deed claims, though. Verify from a third party like charitynavigator.org, which rates organizations on factors like how much of each donation goes to the cause versus administrative costs and, things like that. I cannot tell you. The person who had my phone number before me, Susan, gets text messages constantly from Republican right-wing people pretending to be Donald Trump Jr., POTUS himself, or other people affiliated with Trump's political campaign. And I can't tell you, the day of Trump's trial, my fucking God, my phone was going ballistic. Dad needs help. Help me now. So think about that. Jury eligibility. Some scams claim that they're from jury commission. When they ask for your social security number to confirm if you're eligible for jury duty, don't give it up. When it's from an organization that sounds authentic, people tend to give it up. You can't give it up. You have to covet the information. Never give out your social security number out over the phone. If you're being contacted about jury duty, Look out for an official letter rather than trusting anybody who calls you and asks for sensitive information. So that is just some of the biggest that are out there. And I gave a few examples of some other ones or some variations on another or whatever. But just be vigilant. If it sounds too good to be true, or if it comes to you over a phone number that you do not recognize, think about this. You buy a phone from AT&T. Every time you go into your contacts, some of the very first ones that are going to be there are going to be AT&T contacts that are the legitimate phone numbers for AT&T. It's the same thing with Verizon. It's the same thing with any of those. If you get a text message, and let's say you normally get text messages from AT&T or Verizon. I know Spectrum sends out millions of them to their cable, internet, and mobile customers. If it's a text that says you've gone over your data and you don't think you've gone over your data, give them a call. They will verify that information. If it's a call that says we have a deal, or if it's a text or a phone call that says we have a deal for you, call this number back. If you're a Spectrum Mobile customer, all you have to do is dial 611. It'll immediately connect you to Spectrum, and you can get to any department: video, internet, phone, billing, mobile billing. You can get to any of their departments by calling 611. Or if you have the My Spectrum app, any ad, any legitimate promotion, be it for video, internet, home phone, or mobile, is going to be on the app or at spectrum.net. Same thing with AT&T. Same thing with Verizon. Same thing with T-Mobile. Same thing with any of them. Check it out before you agree to give up your information. Because 9 times out of 10, again, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. I wanted to make sure that we got this information out to as many people as possible, which is why I made it the main topic of the show and we spent the most time talking about it. So if you guys know any of your family members that you think might be at risk for getting a hold of these kinds of threats, elderly people, people that may not be that tech savvy, people that don't normally watch news or read Facebook ads or posts about these kinds of things. Show them this. Educate them. Let them know what is being said and delivered to them via text message, pop-up ad, phone call, email. Share the information and it can help stop someone from getting scammed out of thousands of dollars. Or check out Scammer Payback on YouTube. See some of these scams in action and see what they do to try to get information from your family members. But most importantly, be vigilant for yourself. It can happen to anyone. I almost fell victim to a scam from a collection agency. And then I did research on it before I sent them a penny, before I gave them any of my information. And then I contacted an attorney who then contacted that agency and said, are you legitimately trying to get some kind of collection from this person? They said, we have no collections in his name. These are things that you need to do to help protect yourself and your family. So with that being said, we're in overtime. Until next time, everybody, have a week.
Money's Crazy Mind is proud to be the exclusive flagship broadcast of Nameless, Faceless Productions.
That's all, folks.